Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here today. Now today I'm working on my Craft Roulette card, and I've got a panel here that I have embossed, and I'm going to just do some blending on. While I'm doing that, let's talk about the elements of the card. So for Craft Roulette, we needed to have an easel card. We needed to have quiet colors. We needed to have an element of sweet, and we also needed the bokeh. So this blue panel here was just a piece of scrap I had laying around my room, and I cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just taking this Distressed Oxide Picket Fence color and my small stencil blending brush here, and I'm just lightly going across those circles. And I'm not doing the full circle, I'm doing the edges, I'm doing some silhouettes, kind of just roughly covering it, but that's going to be my bokeh element. And then I'm bringing in my card panel here, which is a top folding, which you just cut it at 4 1/2, scored at 5 1/2, and then I think I made my second score at 2 1/2, and getting it ready. And I brought in this gray panel, which I thought was also a quiet color, and it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it'll just put a nice little edge around my card and take care of my quiet. And I also did that so that it would strengthen my card, because you only attach half of that panel to your card base. Now the next thing I'm bringing in is my element, and this die set from Cat Scrappiness is sweet, and it's a good size die. So I'm going to die cut this out 3 times, 2 in the blue that I had scraps of, and then 1 in white. I wanted 3, but I didn't have enough of the blue for what I needed, so I went ahead and did the first one in white, and I'm just going to layer them up. Just going to get the glue on there. Taking that little bit of blue and just kind of patting up that extra glue that I've got there. And I'm going to get my first blue one laid down on there. And this blue one, because my paper I was using was scrap, I didn't get all of the tea, so you're going to see a little bit of the white peeking through there, but it won't matter. I'm going to cover it up with another blue one and it'll be just fine. So I'm just layering it up so that it'll be good and thick to work as a stopper on my easel card. I'm going to put it on the inside bottom of my card, and it's going to be like my little stopper for my easel, so that I can open it up and stand it up. Just getting it all lined up nice and neat. It comes together nicely, and I'm good to go. And I'm just showing you that's where I'm going to put it. I got to fix that tea a little bit, and I'm making sure it's thick enough that it's going to hold my panel. I'm kind of eyeballing what I've got going on here, and then I'm going to look. I've got to find a focal point, and I just started flipping through my die sets, and I actually had this one inside this pop-up hummingbird die storage that I had. I actually had one of those hummingbirds already assembled. I had it blended and splattered and all assembled and ready to go. Now I noticed a little bit of white cardstock on the edges, so I just brought in a kind of like a pale green and a pale blue, and I'm just going over those little white areas there just so that it'll blend right into my card base and that white won't stick out and kind of be obtrusive. So I'm just cleaning it all up and going around the edge of it, and then it'll lay nicely there on that panel. And I like where I'm headed. When I first started thinking about this card, I was watching the show with my sister, and we were talking about a lot of different ideas, and this wasn't one of them. So I'm going to bring in this green plaid paper that matches the bird, the colors in the bird and the background panel very nicely. And I just took an arch die set and just cut myself a panel, and I'm laying my bird on there, and I look at it and I want some separation between the plaid and my bird. So I'm going to fiddle around with it and see if I've got the right size. I think I even started out with a little larger arch, and then I still wanted my bokeh to show, so I wanted to make it small, but I wound up with this one, and I've got my vellum laying on there, but I needed something else to separate it, so I'm going to put the white panel between the vellum and the green. Now this was just another scrap I had laying around, something that I had die cut out, and I was thinking, could I use this on this card? And so I'm kind of fiddling with it. I think looking at it now, I probably could have used it, but I keep fiddling and moving and trying to figure out how I want it, and ultimately, I think I decided to just lay it aside and to not use it. I wanted to layer it on there somehow, but I was all over the place. So I just threw it aside and decided to leave it alone. And I'm liking how this is coming together. These elements really made for a nice card. And you don't have to do candy or cakes or chocolate or anything like that and still have a sweet card. I mean, I've got the sweet element. You could have a sweet picture. You could have a sweet little dog, a sweet little cat. You could have a lot of different things to meet that element. And then the rest of them are fairly simple elements as far as that goes. So I'm getting my bird laid down on here, and I am going to use the tape for the vellum because I don't want to have a gluey mess, and just lay it on the white panel, get it arranged nicely on there, line it up, and then we'll get it on the green panel. And I'm going to continue with the tape runner. It just makes for easy adhesion, and get it laid down on there and line it up. Now, like I said, I was watching the show with my sister, and I've got to straighten this up. And we were talking about where my card might go. And, you know, I said we were talking about chocolate dipped strawberries and that and everything. Well, then the next day I went home and I started making the card, and I was completely headed in a different direction. I just saw some things and was inspired by some things. And so I got the card finished, and then I took a picture of it and sent it to her, and she said, "Whoa, you went in a completely different direction." She loved it. She thought it was really pretty, but she was surprised that, you know, once you sleep on it, you kind of change directions on your cards. I used to make them all while I was playing along with the show, but now I am tending to enjoy the show more, sleeping on it, and then having some better inspiration for the next day. So I'm looking at my white thinking there's too much white. So I'm thinking bring some embellishments in. And so I grab these. These are also from Cat Scrappiness, these enamel dots. And I've decided I'm going to take just 3 of the smallest ones and lay them on the left side, upper left side of my card, and get them organized on there how I want them. And I think they add a nice touch to it. And then I'm thinking, what about that other white space? And I thought, I'm going to find a sentiment. So I grabbed a set that I have, and I'm going to look to see what they're called. Sending Sentiments. I love this sentiment set. And I pulled in the Just a Note, and I'm stamping it on that scrap blue paper. The first time I squish it, and then I have to do it again, and I have just a little space that doesn't have all that messy glue that I've been blobbing up. And so I'm going to get in that small clean space and restamp it very carefully, and it turns out great. And so I just cut it down in a nice easy strip, and I'm positioning it, trying to see if it's going to look okay. And then I'm going to put just a little piece of foam tape on one side, just because of all of the layers that I've got going on there, so it'll lay simple. And then I'll just bring my tape runner in and just put glue on the other side, or tape, well, it's actually a tape glue runner, and get my adhesive there, and then get it laid down, and it will lay nice and flat on there. And now I'm looking at my suite, and I'm thinking, I want to add something to this. So I'm pulling in my Friend stamp from that same sentiment set, and I'm going to bravely stamp it down right on my card base. I don't like to do this because I don't trust myself with stamping with a stamp block, but it came out okay. I just pressed lightly, and I got my Friend on there. And then I'm going to add my die cut Sweet Friend, and my card's going to say Just a Note on the outside, and then Sweet Friend on the inside, with plenty of space to leave your message. And I was very happy with this card. It felt more like my style, and was really pleased. So I took some scrap from that piece of paper that I had made the arch with, and I put it on the inside. I always like to bring some elements from the outside on the inside. And you can see I've got my Shanna Makes It stamp on the other side of that panel. So I'm giving myself credit for what I've made. My sister would be proud of me. And there it is. And I think it's just beautiful. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.